The stars looked different from this planet. Zara had never seen such strange constellations. Her home was light years away now, perhaps forever. She adjusted her breathing apparatus and scanned the horizon for any sign of the human exploration team. They had been studying her people for 3 cycles now. The humans were fascinating to her, their skin so soft, their eyes oddly round, and their bodies so fragile. Yet they possessed a determination that impressed even the warrior clans of her world. Zara belonged to the Nylari, a species known throughout the galaxy for their strength and battle prowess. The average Nylari stood 7 feet tall, with iridescent scaled skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Zara's scales currently displayed a deep purple of curiosity mixed with flecks of anticipation gold. The communication device at her hip buzzed. She pulled it out and saw the message from her commander, Vex. The humans' camp had been located just beyond the eastern ridge. She was to approach, make contact, and gather information. The message contained additional orders that made Zara's scales briefly flash with concern. She was to evaluate their usefulness as potential allies against the coming storm. The Krell invasion fleet had been detected at the edge of their star system. The humans knew nothing of this threat. The humans had technology the Nylari needed, faster than light drives, that could help them reach the outer systems before the Krell arrived. But her people were too proud to ask directly. Instead, they sent scouts like her to learn what they could and to judge if these soft-skinned creatures could be trusted. Zara moved silently through the dense forest, her powerful legs carrying her swiftly over fallen logs and through thick underbrush. The twin moons cast enough light for her enhanced vision to navigate without difficulty. The sweet scent of night-blooming flowers mixed with the earthy smell of the forest floor. It reminded her of home before, the great drought when her family still lived in the southern regions. She smelled the humans before she saw them, that distinct scent of artificial materials and biological compounds unique to Earth dwellers. Their camp was small, just 3 temporary structures with lights glowing from within. Zara could hear voices, soft laughter, the sound of metal against metal, probably cooking tools. Zara circled the perimeter, noting their security measures primitive by Nylari standards. A simple motion detection, grid, and automated cameras. She could easily bypass them, but that wasn't her mission. Tonight she would make official contact. The humans had been granted permission to study Nylari territory, but no scout had yet approached them directly. She would be the first. A human female emerged from the largest structure. Her short brown hair caught the moonlight. She wore the standard uniform of their exploration corps, with patches indicating her role as a scientist. Zara accessed her memory implant and recalled the human custom of names. This one was called Kate, based on the identification tags Zara had observed through her long-range viewers. Kate looked up at the moons, seemingly lost in thought. Zara recognized the expression. Even among such different species, loneliness looked the same. The human was far from her home world, just as Zara was separated from her clan. The similarity stirred something unexpected in Zara, a sense of kinship. Now was the time. Zara stepped from the shadows and spoke in careful English, her translator implant helping with pronunciation greetings. Human scientist, I am Zara, of the 4th Mountain. Clan Kate spun around her hand, instinctively moving to the small weapon at her hip. But she stopped when she saw Zara in the traditional open-handed greeting of her people. The human's eyes widened, but to her credit, she didn't scream or run. Instead, Kate slowly raised her own hands in a mirrored gesture. They studied each other in silence, Zara towering over. The human female Kate barely reached the middle of Zara's chest. The human's soft brown eyes showed fear, but also wonder and curiosity. Zara found herself impressed by the smaller being's courage. Finally, Kate spoke. Are you from the northern settlement? We were told your people rarely venture this far south. Her voice trembled slightly but grew stronger with each word. Zara felt her scales shift to a light blue of diplomatic caution. I am Zara, scout of the 4th Division. My clan lives beyond the great mountains. I have been watching your camp for several days. Kate nodded, seemingly processing this information. I'm Kate Miller, xenobiologist with the Earth Exploration Initiative. Her voice grew stronger with each word, her initial fear fading into professional curiosity. We've been hoping to make peaceful contact with your people. Zara noticed movement behind Kate as two more humans emerged from the structures. A tall female with fiery red hair tied back in what humans called a ponytail, and another with dark skin and short black hair. Their expressions showed alarm, but Kate raised a hand to calm them. These are my colleagues. Zara. Kate explained Linda and Michelle. We're studying the native flora, looking for compounds with medicinal properties. She gestured to the red-haired human who carried some kind of scanning device. Linda is our botanist and Michelle is our technology specialist. Zara's implant flagged this as potentially valuable information. The Nilari suffered from a degenerative condition that affected their nervous systems. Perhaps these humans had found something that could help. The thought sent a ripple of hope through her scales, turning them momentarily bright green. A storm is coming, Zara said, gesturing to the dark clouds gathering on the horizon. Your shelters will not withstand the acid rain. Her external senses could detect the changing atmospheric pressure. The rains on this planet contained compounds highly corrosive to both human skin and equipment. Kate looked at the sky with concern, then back at her colleagues. We should pack up the sensitive equipment. No time, Zara stated. The rain will begin within minutes. Follow me. I have a shelter nearby. She had not planned to reveal her observation post so soon, but the approaching storm changed her calculations. The humans would be useful to her mission only if they survived. The humans exchanged glances, clearly weighing their options. The distant rumble of thunder made the decision for them. Kate nodded and quickly instructed the others to grab only essential items. Their trust was surprising to Zara. Most species would hesitate to follow a Nilari warrior into the unknown. Zara led them through the forest, moving at a pace the humans could manage, though it felt painfully slow to her. The first drops of rain began to fall, sizzling as they hit the leaves. The acrid smell of burning vegetation filled the air. The humans gasped as small holes appeared in the vegetation where the raindrops landed. They quickened their pace, following Zara without question. Now Kate stumbled on a tree root, and Zara instinctively reached out, steadying the human with one clawed hand. Kate looked up at her with surprise and gratitude. Zara felt an unexpected warmth at the contact. Her scales rippled with a pattern she rarely displayed. Something about this human stirred protective instincts usually reserved for clan members. Her shelter was nestled against a cliff face, a semi-permanent structure made of synthetic materials designed to withstand the harsh environment. She unsealed the entrance and ushered the humans inside just as the rain began to fall in earnest. The drops hitting her outer scales stung, but caused no lasting damage, unlike what they would do to human skin. The shelter was spacious by human standards, but with 4 occupants it felt cramped to Zara. The humans looked around with undisguised curiosity at her equipment and personal items. The walls were lined with monitoring devices, data pads, and sample containers. Her mission to observe human behavior had generated significant information. Already, Kate approached a display showing various biological readings. Are these from local specimens? She asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming any remaining fear. Zara nodded. Some from plants, others from small creatures I've captured and released. She did not mention that some of the data came from observing the humans themselves. Michelle, the dark-skinned human, was examining Zara's communication array, her fingers hovering over but not touching the controls. This is incredible, she whispered. The compression algorithms alone are generations ahead of ours. Zara felt her scales shift to a pleased orange. These humans were perceptive. The technological gap between their species was significant but not insurmountable. If an alliance were formed, knowledge exchange would benefit both sides. The storm intensified, outside rain hammering against the shelter with increasing force. The humans jumped at a particularly loud crack of thunder. Lightning flashed, illuminating the interior in brief bursts of electric blue. The acid rain created a strange melody as it hit different sections of the shelter. Roof Zara activated the heating system, noticing how the humans shivered despite their protective clothing. Your species is not well adapted to this environment, she observed the temperature. Regulation controls hummed to life, bringing warmth to the space. Kate smiled, a gesture Zara had studied but still found slightly unsettling. That's why we have technology to compensate for our biological limitations. She removed her outer jacket. Revealing a simple black garment beneath the symbol of the Earth Exploration Initiative was visible on the shoulder. A stylized globe with stars surrounding it, an interesting perspective. Zara replied, "Most species evolve to suit their environment. Your kind changes the environment to suit yourselves. It was one of the things that made humans both fascinating and dangerous. They refuse to accept limitations, or we find friends who can help us survive," Linda added, with a small smile. She had been quiet until now, carefully observing the interaction between Kate and Zara. Her red hair caught the light of Zara's bioluminescent wall panels designed to provide comfortable illumination for Nilari Eye's friends. The concept was not unknown to the Nilari, but rarely applied to other species. Alliances, yes, strategic partnerships certainly, but friendship implied a deeper connection. Zara considered this as she prepared a simple meal from her supplies. The rations were compatible with human biology according to her data. Though they might find the taste unusual, I hope we can be friends. Kate said, her voice soft but earnest. We came here to learn and understand, not to take or destroy. Her eyes met Zara's without fear, now only curiosity, and something else Zara couldn't quite identify. Zara felt her scales ripple with conflicted emotions. Her mission was to gather intelligence, not form attachments. Yet something about these humans, particularly Kate, made her want to share more than she should. You are different from what I expected, she admitted. Michelle, who had been examining some of Zara's equipment with barely contained excitement, looked up. What did you expect, she asked. Warriors. Zara said simply, your kind has a reputation. Our intelligence suggested humans were aggressive, territorial, quick to violence. She placed nutrient cubes on 4 separate plates. The cubes glowed slightly with a purple hue. Kate accepted a plate, looking at the food with scientific interest rather than disgust. Every species has its warriors and its peacekeepers, she said. We're scientists, not soldiers. She cautiously tasted a cube, her expression surprised. Perhaps it was not as unpleasant as it appeared. As they ate, the humans asked questions about her people, and Zara found herself answering more honestly than her mission parameters strictly allowed. There was something about these humans, particularly Kate, that made deception feel wrong. She told them about the mountain clans, the city dwellers, the nomadic tribes that roamed the northern plains. She described the coming-of-age ceremony, where young Nilari earned their color-changing abilities, the grand temples where ancient knowledge was preserved, the yearly gathering of clans, where disputes were settled and partnerships formed. In return, the humans shared stories of Earth. Kate spoke of vast oceans teeming with life, of forests that stretched for thousands of miles, of cities that glowed with light visible from space. Linda described the incredible diversity of plant life, from tiny desert succulents to massive trees that lived for thousands of years. Michelle explained how human technology had evolved from simple tools to interstellar travel in a remarkably short time by galactic standards. The storm showed no signs of abating. With night fully upon them, Zara extended sleeping platforms from the shelter walls. There was much she had not told them about the Krell, about why she was really here, about the fact that her people had been watching the humans since they first arrived, not just for 3 cycles as she had claimed. You'll sleep here, she said, pointing to the largest platform. It will accommodate all 3 of you. She needed time to think, to process the conflicting emotions these humans stirred in her, to decide how much to reveal. Kate looked at the remaining platform. Where will you sleep? She asked, her concern. Seemingly genuine, Zara's scales shifted to a deep blue with flecks of gold, a color combination even she didn't fully understand. I require less rest than humans. I will monitor the storm. She turned away, hoping the humans would not notice her confusion. The mission was simple. Observe, evaluate, report. She had not expected to like them, but Kate seemed to read something in Zara's expression. "Come to my tent. You'll sleep beside me, human," she said, mimicking Zara's formal speech pattern with a smile. "There's room enough." Zara felt an unexpected warmth at the invitation. Her species was not tactile. Their scaled skin made casual contact uncomfortable. But the thought of resting near this human was strangely appealing. She inclined her head in acceptance. "My people do not usually sleep in proximity to others outside our family group," she explained it as a sign of great trust. Kate's smile widened. "On Earth, sharing shelter is one of the oldest forms of hospitality," she said. "It means the same for us. Trust as the humans prepared for sleep, arranging their limited belongings." And speaking in hushed tones, Zara sent a brief encrypted message to her commander. "Contact established. Gathering information. Will report when mission complete." What she didn't report was how these humans made her question her mission. How Kate's kindness and curiosity stirred feelings that had no place in a military operation. How for the first time she wondered if there might be a way for their species to help each other openly, rather than through subterfuge. The sleeping platform was designed for a single Nilari, but accommodated both Zara and Kate without difficulty. The human was small compared to her, taking up minimal space. Zara adjusted her body temperature downward, knowing that humans preferred cooler conditions for sleep. Kate lay on her side facing Zara, her eyes reflecting the dim bioluminescence of the shelter walls. "Can I ask you something?" she whispered. The others were already asleep. Soft breathing sounds coming from the larger platform. Zara nodded. "You may ask, though. I may not answer. Some questions require trust built over time." Kate seemed to consider this. "Why did you approach us tonight? Was it just because of the storm?" Her intuition was impressive for a species with no psychic abilities. Zara was silent for a long moment. "I was ordered to make contact," she finally said. "But the timing was my choice. The storm provided an opportunity." She did not mention that her superiors had been growing impatient, waiting for her to fulfill her mission. Kate accepted this with a nod. "I'm glad you did, regardless of the reason," she said. Then after a pause, "What happens tomorrow?" "Tomorrow?" Zara repeated the word as if testing it. "I will escort you back to your camp. We will continue our respective missions." Her scales darkened slightly at the half-truth. "But we'll see each other again?" Kate asked, her voice carrying hope. Zara found it strange how expressive human voices could be, how much emotion they conveyed without any color changes to their skin. "That would be acceptable," Zara replied more formally than she intended. She was not used to personal connections forming so quickly among her own kind. Relationships developed slowly over many cycles. Kate smiled again and closed her eyes. "Sleep well." Zara outside. The acid rain continued to fall, washing away old barriers, while inside the shelter, new connections began to form. Zara watched Kate drift into sleep and made a decision. When morning came, she would tell them something about the Krell. Not everything, not yet, but enough to begin building the alliance her people needed, without revealing that she had been sent to manipulate them. Because sometimes survival meant trusting those who were different. Sometimes it meant becoming allies, perhaps even friends. It was a risk. But as she studied these fragile yet remarkable humans, Zara believed it might be a risk worth taking. The storm lasted through the night, its intensity waxing and waning like the twin moons. Zara dozed but remained partially, alert, her senses attuned to any potential danger. She found the rhythm of Kate's breathing oddly soothing. The human gave off heat like a small sun, warming the space between them. Zara's dreams, when they came, were filled with strange images. Humans and Nilari fighting side by side against shadowy creatures with too many limbs. The ancient prophecies of her people spoke of unlikely allies in the final battle against darkness. Could these fragile beings with their soft skin and determined spirits be the ones the prophecies foretold? She woke fully before any of the humans, the first light of dawn barely visible through the shelter's small viewport. The storm had passed, leaving behind a landscape transformed, broken branches, acid-scorched leaves, pools of still-smoking liquid. Her external sensors indicated the atmosphere had returned to normal levels, safe for humans to breathe. Kate stirred beside her eyes, opening slowly, focusing on Zara's face. "Good morning," she murmured. The human concept of wishing good things upon waking was not practiced among the Nylari, but Zara found she appreciated the sentiment. "Good morning, Kate Miller." Zara replied, using the human's full name as was proper among her people when addressing someone of status. "The storm has passed. We can return to your camp when the others awake." The journey back to the human camp was easier in daylight. The forest glistened with leftover raindrops that had been neutralized by the morning sun. Small creatures emerged from hiding places, scurrying across their path. Plants turned their faces toward the light, some opening colorful blooms that released sweet scents into the air. Zara led the way, her long strides measured to allow the humans to keep pace. Kate walked beside her while Linda and Michelle followed a few steps behind occasionally, stopping to collect samples or take readings. The two scientists seemed to have recovered from their initial fear, now treating Zara with cautious respect. "So your people have been on this planet for how long?" Kate asked, continuing their conversation from earlier. 27 of your Earth years," Zara replied. "Long enough to establish permanent settlements, but recent enough that much remains unknown to us." She stepped over a fallen tree trunk, then turned to offer Kate a hand. The human accepted, the assistance with a smile, her small warm fingers wrapping around Zara's scaled ones. The gesture felt significant somehow, a bridge between their species. Zara was careful with her strength, knowing she could easily crush the fragile bones in Kate's hand. Michelle, who had been quiet for most of the journey, spoke up. "You said your people came here from another system. Why leave your homeworld?" Her tone was curious, not accusatory. Zara's scales flickered briefly with old grief. Resources were depleted. Conflict with neighboring systems made expansion difficult. This world was unclaimed fertile, compatible with our biology. The simplified answer omitted the desperate last days of evacuation, the ships overloaded with refugees, the homes and history left behind. The humans exchanged glances. Zara had noticed they often communicated with subtle facial expressions, a skill she was still learning to interpret. "We have a similar story," Kate said softly. "Earth still supports life, but population pressures, resource depletion, climate change, they all pushed us to look outward. Necessity is the mother of invention, as we say." Zara tilted her head, considering the saying. "My people have a similar expression. Survival demands adaptation." They continued walking, in comfortable silence for a time. The forest thinned as they approached the ridge overlooking the human camp. Zara paused at the edge of the tree line, her scales shifting to a cautious gray. The camp was not as they had left it. There were new structures, additional equipment, and more humans moving about. Kate noticed her hesitation. "That's strange," she said. "We weren't expecting supply delivery for another week." She shielded her eyes from the sun, trying to get a better look. Zara's enhanced vision could make out details invisible to human eyes. The newcomers wore different uniforms. Their movements were precise, coordinated. They carried weapons, not research equipment. "Military," she said, her voice low. "These are not scientists." Linda stepped forward, peering at the camp. "That's Colonel Pat Harris," she said, pointing to a tall figure issuing orders. Her tone held surprise but not alarm. "Why would the military liaison be here?" Zara fought to keep her scales from betraying her concerned. Military presence complicated her mission. The Nylari High Command would see this as evidence that humans could not be trusted, that they planned aggression, not alliance. She needed more information before reporting back. "We should approach openly," Kate decided. "They're probably here because we didn't check in during the storm." She looked at Zara. "Will you come with us?" Zara hesitated. The prudent action would be to withdraw, observe, report. But that would mean leaving Kate and the others to explain the contact without. Her present information would be lost, distorted, perhaps used against her people. She made her decision. "I will accompany you." The group descended from the ridge, walking openly toward the camp. Zara made no attempt to hide her presence, though every instinct urged caution. They were spotted quickly. Humans stopped their activities, turning to stare. Several reached for weapons but did not draw them. A tall human with short gray hair and a rigid posture stepped forward. Kate Miller. The human called out, "What's going on here? Why the surprise visit?" The human's voice held authority despite her lower rank. "Colonel Harris, Kate." The gray-haired human replied, eyes fixed on Zara. "We lost contact with your team during the storm search parties, found your camp abandoned with signs of hasty departure." The colonel's hand rested on a sidearm. "I see you've made contact." Zara straightened to her full height, 7 feet of scaled warrior. Her presence was intimidating, she knew, but she kept her posture non-threatening, hands visible. "I am Zara of the 4th Mountain Clan," she announced. "I sheltered these humans during the acid storm. Their camp would not have survived." The colonel's expression remained neutral. "We appreciate your assistance," she said formally. "The treaty between our peoples allows for scientific exchange, but military protocols require notification of direct contact." She turned to Kate. "You should have radioed in." "The communications equipment was at camp," Kate explained. "We had no time." The colonel was correct, of course. Protocols existed on both sides. Contact between species was meant to be carefully managed, documented, but life rarely followed protocols. More humans had gathered now, watching the exchange with expressions ranging from curiosity to suspicion. Zara counted 15 new arrivals, all with military bearing. Though they carried only small arms, their presence changed the nature of the human operation from research to something more strategic. Colonel Harris seemed to come to a decision. "Please join us in the command center," she said, addressing both Kate and Zara. "We have matters to discuss." The command center proved to be the largest of the new structures, a prefabricated building with communication equipment and holographic displays. It was cool inside, a relief from the growing heat of the day. Zara had to duck to enter the doorway, a reminder that this world was being shaped for human use. Inside, several humans worked at various stations. They looked up briefly as the group entered, then returned to their tasks with practiced discipline. Colonel Harris led them to a private room at the back where a table and chairs awaited. The furniture was designed for humans, making Zara feel awkwardly large in the confined space. "Please sit," the colonel said. The humans took seats, but Zara remained standing her height, making it more comfortable. The colonel didn't press the issue. Instead, she activated a display on the table surface, showing a 3-dimensional map of the region. "We've detected unusual activity in the northern mountains," Harris said, addressing Kate but watching Zara's reaction. "Energy signatures that don't match known Nylari technology." The colonel's eyes narrowed. "Our treaty permits your people certain territories, Zara, but military buildup is prohibited." Zara kept her scales carefully neutral. This was delicate. The colonel spoke of things Zara was not supposed to know, that humans had been monitoring Nylari activities, just as the Nylari had been observing humans. "I am a scout, not a diplomat." She said, "I have no knowledge of military matters." The colonel didn't appear convinced. Kate intervened. "Zara saved our lives, Colonel," she said firmly. "Without her, we would have been caught in the acid rain. She offered shelter without hesitation. That speaks to her character and her people's intentions." Zara felt an unexpected rush of gratitude at Kate's defense. Her scales briefly flashed warm gold before she could control the reaction. The colonel noticed the color change, her eyes narrowing slightly. "The energy signatures," Harris continued, "are similar to those detected before the Centauri conflict." The colonel's words fell into the room like stones into still water. Zara knew of the Centauri system, another world where humans had encountered hostile aliens. The conflict had been brief but violent. The humans had prevailed. Their capacity for warfare was impressive for such a physically unimposing species. "We are not your enemies," Zara said, choosing her words carefully. "The Nylari seek peaceful coexistence." This was true, though not complete. The activity in the mountains was indeed military, but not aimed at humans. The defense systems being constructed were for another threat, entirely. One that would endanger all intelligent life in the sector. Perhaps, Harris said, But trust requires transparency. The colonel turned to Kate. Your team will continue its research, but under military protection. She looked back at Zara. You are welcome to stay and observe as per our treaty. But be aware that we are increasing our security presence. It was a diplomatic way of saying they would be watching closely. Suspicion once aroused was difficult to dispel. Zara needed to report this development to her commanders, but she also needed to maintain the fragile connection she had established with Kate and the scientists. The path forward had become complicated. I have a moment with Kate, Zara asked. The colonel hesitated, then nodded, stepping outside with Linda and Michelle, leaving Zara alone with Kate. The human looked up at her, concern evident in her expressive face. This isn't good, is it? She said. No, Zara admitted. Your military suspects mine of preparation for conflict. My superiors will interpret increased human security as aggression. It is a cycle that leads nowhere good. She made a decision, then one that went beyond her orders, beyond protocol. Trust requires risk. Kate Miller. The activity in the mountains is indeed military, but not directed at humans. Kate's eyes widened slightly. Why tell me this? 3 days passed since Zara had revealed the truth about the Krell to Kate. She had returned to her people's settlement in the mountains, reporting her contact with the humans and their military response. Her commander Vex had been displeased by the development, but intrigued by Zara's assessment of the humans, particularly Kate Miller. They are more adaptable than we anticipated, Zara had told the gathering of clan leaders. Their scientific curiosity drives them to understand, rather than fear. The human Kate shows particular promise for fostering cooperation. Now Zara stood on a high ridge overlooking the valley where the human camp lay. She could see increased activity. New defensive positions being established, perimeter sensors. Her enhanced vision picked out Kate moving between structures carrying equipment. The humans seemed to be arguing with Colonel Harris, their gestures animated. Though Zara was too far away to hear words, her communication device signaled an incoming message. Zara activated it, seeing the stern-scaled face of Commander Vex. The council has reached a decision, the commander said. The humans will be approached formally. We will reveal the Krell threat. The humans' military presence gives us no choice. We must know if they will stand with us or flee. Zara felt both relief and apprehension. The council was notoriously cautious. Change came slowly to the Nilari. For them to choose direct action meant the Krell threat was growing more serious than she had been told. When will the delegation arrive? She asked. There will be no delegation, Vex replied. You have established contact. You will return to the human camp as our representative. The commander's scales shifted to formal purple. The council believes the human Kate Miller trusts you. This gives you an advantage no other Nilari possesses. Zara could not keep surprise from her voice or her scales. I am a scout, not a diplomat. You are what we need you to be, Vex said firmly. The Krell fleet has increased speed. Our latest calculations give us 30 days, perhaps less, before their arrival. The commander's expression softened slightly. You have shown good judgment, Zara. Even coming to care for these humans, that may serve our purpose now. Zara accepted the assignment, knowing protest would be futile. The fate of both species might rest on her ability to forge an alliance. She would need to be careful. The humans' military leaders would be suspicious, protective. Kate was her best hope, a bridge between worlds. She made her way down the mountain, following a path that would bring her to the human camp from the east. She carried formal credentials, now identifying her as an official representative of the Nilari Council. She also carried data, crystals containing information about the Krell, their biology, their technology, their history of conquest across 3 star systems. The human perimeter guards spotted her when she was still half a kilometer away. They raised weapons but did not fire. Instead, one spoke into a communication device. Soon a small group emerged from the camp, Kate among them. Zara felt an unexpected lightness at seeing the human again. Her scales rippled briefly with pleasure before she controlled the reaction. Kate broke away from the group, jogging ahead to meet her. You came back, the human said, smiling. The simple greeting carried genuine welcome. "I return as official representative of the Nilari Council," Zara said formally. Then her tone softened. "Did you speak to your leaders about what I shared?" Kate nodded. "We've been in communication with Earth Command. They want proof, but they're listening. Colonel Harris has been instructed to cooperate." The human glanced back at the approaching soldiers. "I told them you'd come back." Together, they walked to meet the others. Colonel Harris stood with arms crossed, expression neutral. Two armed guards flanked her, their weapons lowered but ready. The colonel spoke first. "Our governments have agreed to a formal information exchange. Your council has promised data on this Krell threat. In return, we will share defensive capabilities." It was more than Zara had hoped for. The humans were taking the threat seriously, moving quickly to respond as was their nature. The Nilari Council had deliberated for months before reaching the same point. That adaptability might save both their peoples. "I bring information," Zara said, holding up the data crystals. "Compatible with your systems," she added. This was intentional. Nilari technology could easily have been made incompatible, but the Council had chosen cooperation. "Good," the colonel said. "Let's not waste time." She turned, leading the way back to the command center. The camp had changed significantly in Zara's absence. More structures had been erected. A landing pad now occupied the eastern edge where a small transport ship rested. Defense turrets discreetly positioned around the perimeter tracked Zara's movement. The humans were preparing for conflict, but showing restraint in their display of force. Inside the command center, additional personnel worked at monitoring stations. The room hummed with focused energy. Kate stayed close to Zara as they were led to a secure room where Michelle waited alongside unfamiliar equipment. Technical specialist smiled at Zara. "We've set up an isolated system for the data transfer," she explained, pointing to an interface designed to accommodate the Nilari crystals. "No connection to our main network security protocol." Zara understood the precaution. The humans feared the data might contain something harmful. They were right to be cautious, though in this case their fear was misplaced. The real threat was still months away, traveling through the cold void between stars. She placed the first crystal in the reader. The display illuminated, showing Krell ship designs, biological information, tactical assessments. The humans gathered around, eyes widening as the scale of the threat became clear. The Krell were not merely raiders or conquerors. They were consumers of worlds, stripping planets of resources, consuming all organic matter, leaving nothing behind. They did not negotiate. They did not accept surrender. They simply took. Colonel Harris studied the tactical projections, her face grim. 30 days until they reach this system," she said. "It's not much time. It is enough if we work together." Zara replied. "The Nilari have already begun constructing planetary defense systems, but our fleet is limited. Our ships lack the speed to intercept." The Krell, before they reach orbit, Kate, who had been reviewing the biological data, looked up. "These Krell, their insectoid hive mind." She pointed to neural network diagrams. "That means they have centralized control. Take out the queens and the drones. Become disorganized." "Exactly," Zara said, impressed by how quickly Kate had grasped the key weakness. "The difficulty is reaching the queen ships. They remain protected at the center of the fleet. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses." Michelle had been examining the Krell ship schematics. "But our phase shields might," she said thoughtfully. "And combined with your plasma cannons." Her fingers moved over the display, combining Nilari and human technology into new configurations. The colonel watched. With growing interest. "This could work," Harris admitted. The colonel turned to Zara. "Your council is prepared to integrate our technologies?" "Yes," Zara confirmed. "Whatever differences exist between our peoples, the Krell threat supersedes them. The council offers full technological exchange." The words were momentous. No species shared their core technologies without reservation, but extinction made old cautions meaningless. Colonel Harris nodded decisively. "I need to contact Earth Command immediately. This changes our response options." She turned to Kate. "You'll work directly with Zara, coordinating the scientific teams. We need to understand everything about these Krell find weaknesses. We can exploit Kate agreed readily, already making notes on. Her datapad Zara felt a surge of admiration for the humans' focus. When faced with a threat, humans became more determined, not less. It was a quality her own people sometimes lacked, preferring careful deliberation to immediate action. Both approaches had value. Perhaps together they would find the right balance as the humans dispersed to their tasks. Kate stayed behind. When the room had cleared, she turned to Zara. "You risked much telling me about the Krell," she said. Her brown eyes held understanding. "Why me? Why trust a human?" "You barely knew," Zara considered the question, her scales shifting through thoughtful patterns of blue and green. "In our brief time together, you showed courage, curiosity, compassion. These are qualities my people respect," and paused, searching for the right words. "Also, there was a connection between us, something I had not experienced before with any being, Nylari or otherwise." Kate smiled, reaching out to touch Zara's arm lightly. "I felt it too," she said. "As a scientist, I should be skeptical of such quick connections." But her voice trailed off. "But sometimes knowledge comes from more than data." Zara finished. "Exactly," Kate agreed. Looking at the displays now crowded with Krell information, she sighed. "We have so much work to do. Can your people really accept partnership with humans? Some of your kind must resist the idea, as do some of yours." Zara acknowledged. Change never comes easily to any species, but survival is a powerful motivator. The Krell threat makes allies. Of us all, Kate's expression became determined. "Then we'll make the most of these 30 days, she said. "Show me everything you know about the Krell. We'll find a way to stop them for the next several hours." They worked together. Zara explaining details of Krell behavior patterns, weaknesses in their ship designs, Kate absorbing information, quickly making connections. Zara had not considered. The human mind worked differently than Nylari, consciousness, less structured, more intuitive. Kate saw possibilities, where Zara saw only established patterns. 28 days later, the planet was transformed. The once small research camp had become a sprawling military base. Human ships arrived daily, bringing soldiers, engineers, scientists, equipment. The mountain settlements of the Nylari expanded as hidden facilities became operational. Defensive turrets rose from concealed bunkers. Ancient weapons preserved from the Nylari homeworld were awakened and modified with human technology. Zara stood on the command center roof, watching a squadron of fighter craft streak across the sky. The sleek vessels were hybrids, human design with Nylari weapon systems. Pilots from both species had trained together, learning to compensate for their different physiologies and thinking patterns. Below her, the base hummed with activity. Final preparations for the coming battle. Kate joined her at the railing. The human wore a new uniform, identifying her as Chief Science Officer of the Joint Defense Force. She looked tired, but determined. The past weeks had tested them all, pushing bodies and minds to their limits. "The fleet is assembled," Kate said. 12 human capital ships, 23. Nylari cruisers, over 100 fighter craft. She leaned against the railing, her shoulder touching Zara's arm. 2 weeks ago, our people had never even spoken. Now we're about to fight together. Much has changed. Zara agreed. Her scales rippled with complicated emotions. Pride in what they had accomplished. Fear for what was to come. Hope that their combined strength would be enough. "The Council and your Earth Command have approved the battle plan," Kate nodded. "The Krell will arrive tomorrow. Our long-range sensors detected their fleet dropping out of faster than light travel at the system edge. They're moving, slower than expected, gathering resources from the outer planets. That gives us more time," Zara said. Kate looked up at her brown eyes, serious. "Time won't matter if the weapon doesn't work." The human was referring to the quantum disruptor, a theoretical device that might disable the Krell neural network. The science teams had worked day and night to create it, combining Nylari understanding of hive mind structures with human quantum technology, but it remained untested. The battle would determine its effectiveness. "It will work," Zara said with more confidence than she felt. The human smiled at her gratefully. Kate had become skilled at reading Nylari emotions, but still appreciated reassurance. Their connection had deepened over the weeks of preparation. They had worked together, trained together, planned together, and in quiet moments, shared hopes, fears. Dreams, Commander Vex approached, interrupting their moment. The Nylari officer's scales showed formal battle readiness, a deep crimson, with gold accents. The council requests your presence. Zara, he said, they wish to speak with both of you. The council chamber was located deep within the mountain, a natural cavern enhanced with Nylari technology. 7 elders sat in a semicircle, there, ancient scales showing patterns rarely seen among younger Nylari. These were survivors of the original exodus from the homeworld. They had led their people through decades of hardship to this new world. Now they faced another threat to their survival, Zara, and Kate stood before them, Kate showing remarkable composure for a human facing the most powerful Nylari in existence. The eldest counselor Merrick spoke, his voice resonating in the chamber. The Krell arrive tomorrow. Our preparation is complete thanks to the alliance you two have forged. He looked at Kate. Your kind has surprised us, human. We did not expect such quick adaptation, such willingness to share your technology. Kate bowed slightly in respect. We face extinction together, she said. That makes our differences seem small. Our similarities more important, wise words from one so young, Merrick said. His scales shifted to a pattern Zara had never seen before, something ancient and significant. The prophecy speaks of unlikely allies standing against the Devourers. It seems humans may be those allies. Zara felt her scales ripple with surprise. The prophecy of Jareth was sacred text rarely shared with outsiders. That the council would reference it now before a human indicated how completely their worldview had changed. The council has decided, Merrick continued. After much deliberation, we offer a permanent alliance with humanity, not merely for this battle but for all time. He gestured, and an attendant brought forward an ancient artifact, a crystal sphere that glowed with inner light. This is the heart of Nylara, one of the few treasures saved from our homeworld. It contains our history, our knowledge, our essence. We offer it to humanity as bond of our commitment. Kate looked at the sphere with wonder, understanding the significance of the gesture, though not its full cultural meaning. I cannot accept this on behalf of all humanity, she said carefully. But I can promise that I will carry your message to Earth Command with my strongest recommendation. For alliance, Merrick nodded, pleased. The human understood protocol. The formal alliance would require official representatives, but the gesture itself mattered. It signaled a new future for both species if they survived the coming battle. You both must rest now, the counselor said. Tomorrow will demand all your strength. Zara, you will command the ground defense. Kate Miller, you will coordinate from the command center. Your understanding of both species makes you uniquely valuable. They left the council chamber, walking in silence through corridors filled with Nylari and human personnel working side by side. The sight would have been unimaginable a month ago. Now it seemed natural, necessary. Kate spoke as they reached the surface. The prophecy he mentioned. What does it say? Zara hesitated, then decided Kate had earned the right to know. In the darkest time, when the Devourers come from beyond the stars, the scaled ones will not stand alone. The soft-skinned ones with hearts of fire will join. Them together, they will drive back the darkness. Kate smiled softly. Hearts of fire, I like that. It fits what I've seen of humanity. Our passion, our determination. She looked up at the stars visible in the early evening sky. I hope it's enough. They returned to the command center for final briefings. Colonel Harris now. General Harris, after a field promotion coordinated with Nylari commanders, plans were reviewed, contingencies established, communication protocols tested. When all was done, Kate and Zara found themselves again in Kate's tent, now relocated to a secure area near the command bunker. Neither could sleep despite exhaustion. The weight of tomorrow pressed upon them. The fate of 2 species, perhaps more, rested on their preparations, their planning their alliance. Kate sat on the sleeping platform, knees drawn to her chest. Zara beside her, their shoulders touching. "Tell me about your home." "Zara," Kate said suddenly. "Not the planet, but your personal place." "The mountains, the clan. I want to imagine it." Zara closed her eyes, seeing her family's dwelling carved into the mountainside. "My home overlooks a valley where purple grass grows so tall it waves like water in the wind." She began describing the sunrise over the peaks, the calls of flying creatures, the communal spaces where clan members gathered to share meals and stories. She spoke of her clutchmates, 3 siblings who had chosen different paths. One a healer, one a teacher, one a builder of dwellings. She described the gathering hall where history was preserved in stone carvings and memory crystals. In return, Kate spoke of earth of forests and oceans, of crowded cities and quiet farmlands. She described her childhood home near water called Michigan, where lakes stretched to the horizon, where winter brought snow and summer brought warmth. She spoke of her parents, her younger sister, her education, her dreams of exploring the stars. The sharing of personal histories felt important somehow, a testament to what they fought to preserve, not just survival but ways of life, cultures, memories, hopes, what the Krell would consume without thought or hesitation. "If we survive," Zara said, "I would like to see this earth one day." "When we survive," Kate corrected. "I'll show you the lakes, the oceans. You'll have to wear an environmental suit. Your scales would frighten the locals." She smiled to show she was joking. Then, more seriously, "I'd like to see your mountain home, meet your family." "It is decided then," Zara said, her scales shifting to a pattern of commitment. "After victory, we will visit both worlds." The simple plan for the future gave them both something to hold against the darkness of uncertainty. Sleep finally claimed them. Kate curled against Zara's side, the humans steady, breathing a counterpoint to the double rhythm of Nilari hearts. Zara remained partly awake, as was her species' way during times of danger, her mind cycling through battle plans, defensive positions, weapon alignments. But part of her consciousness remained with Kate, with the simple warmth of connection. Dawn broke clear and cold. The base came alive with purposeful movement, final checks, weapons systems, communications, defensive positions. In the command center, Kate took her place at the central console, surrounded by screens showing status reports from across the planet. Zara prepared to depart for her command post at the primary defense turret, the most powerful weapon they had created, a fusion of human and Nilari technology. They faced each other in the busy command center, oblivious to the movement around them. For a moment, they were not commander and coordinator, not Nilari and human, just 2 beings who had found understanding across the gulf of different evolution. "Stay safe," Kate said softly, and Zara replied. Her scales shifted to a pattern she had never shown before, one she hadn't known she could make. It spoke of deeper connection than alliance, than friendship, a joining of paths. Kate seemed to understand. She smiled and reached up, touching Zara's face gently. "Come back to my tent," she said. "You'll sleep beside me, Nilari." The ritual words had become their promise.